Have you ever heard someone ask, do you live in a casino? Yeah. Some of the questions people ask about our city are so absurd, you just have to laugh. So that's what we're doing today on CityCast Las Vegas. Last summer, we invited CityCast CEO Dayvid Plotz onto the show, and we let him ask co-host David Figler and me all the dumb questions about Vegas he could think of. It's Monday, July 3rd. I'm Vogue Robinson, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. Hi, Dayvid Plotz. David Figler and I want to welcome you to CityCast Las Vegas.
Dayvid Plotz is the man.
Hi, David. Hi, Vogue. It's nice to be here. I actually haven't been in Vegas for more than 20 years. I was thinking about this, so it's really nice to be with you guys.
Come back. Yes.
Depending on how this goes, I might.
I'm just as the lawyer in me, I have to ask, are there legal reasons why you're not allowed back into the community here, or is that by choice?
As your slogan goes.
Okay.
What happened stayed, so we'll never know, will we?
Only it has changed. It is now what happens in Vegas only happens in Vegas.
Oh, as I mentioned, haven't been in Vegas for more than 20 years. I've only been there twice. I loved it both times I've been there. I really, really enjoyed it. I gamble a little bit, but not a lot. That wasn't interesting. I just love it as spectacle, as I love desert climates. And I was listening to a podcast the other day, and an Irishman was saying the only place he'd been in the U.S. was Vegas, and he's like, well, that's not like really like going to America at all. It's a totally different country. And so I've always felt that you guys live in a different country. But I have so many questions, which are dumb questions. So first of all, how often do you see Celine Dion in a given week? And how often Britney Spears? Is it like twice?
On the street or professionally?
Either way.
And by professionally, on her side of the equation or me and Vogue's side of the equation? Because both of them are big poetry fans. So I think we see them regularly in the audience. But
I never see Celine Dion. David, stop lying.
Oh. I have never had a Celine Dion encounter, though I do know people who have spotted her at retail outlets, at fancy mall type shops. I mean, presumably. I once ran into Rihanna at a restaurant. That was kind of cool. Holly Madison, if you know who that is, showed up at a poetry reading once. So
what?
That was something. Yeah. So yeah, there you go.
I've seen Mike Tyson at the Black History Month parade. So I danced with Mike Tyson. We did the electric slide. So yeah, we see folks, but never Celine or Britney.
I mean, I will say that I have seen the Celine Dion show when she was over at the Coliseum, and my partner went to go see Britney Spears during her residencies. And that was kind of like one of those special things when locals go to see sort of the big residency shows. That doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it's usually something fun.
How often do you gamble? Do you gamble all the time? Never? Somewhere in between?
Never. I like my money and I like to keep it in my pocket.
I am immersed in gambling culture. I consider myself to be a casino kid.
What?
My dad was a card dealer at the Sahara Hotel for many, many years. In fact, that's why we moved out here, because my uncle before him got him a job and he was also a casino worker. So I grew up in and out of casinos. Most of my friends do not gamble at all. Most of them learn the lessons of the things that they've seen from their friends and family members. I choose to both ignore those lessons and try to be an activist based on those lessons. So that's the gambling answer, right?
My sister works at a casino.
That leads to my next question, actually. So I live in D.C., and in D.C., your neighbor is a lawyer, a government person who works for government, a lobbyist. Are neighbors in Vegas, they all blackjack dealers and waitresses and riggers for stage shows? And are those middle-class jobs?
These are great, stupid questions, David. Vogue, who are your neighbors?
I feel like a very large amount of our population is employed by the Strip. And I think, we're a working class town and we come together in times of when we experienced violence. I feel like this town came together as a whole, but we're a working class town and my neighbors are military, but I live close to our military base. So
yeah, we have a really big military base out here, Nellis Air Force Base, and they employ a lot of folks. And, obviously the casinos employ so large a population.
I mean, it's populations.
Yeah.
I feel like
and then there's those of us who in the community serve the people who serve the people in the casinos, So sure, there's a lot of them. But my neighbors, particularly in my old downtown neighborhood, I've got lots and lots of school teachers, university professors nearby. I've got people who are professional musicians that live nearby.
Dayvid lives in cool downtown, so he's in the crux of movers and shakers.
Okay, if you go out to a restaurant, is it a touristy restaurant and is it inside a casino? Is it ever a touristy restaurant inside a casino?
Sometimes. Special occasions. Like we were scheduled to go to Hell's Kitchen, but I got sick. But like we have the capacity to go to Hell's Kitchen. So it's like, yeah, I'm going to go there. But we really try to go to our local spots. So there's oh my gosh, Comex is a fusion restaurant that serves like Mexican and Korean food mashed up together. So there's like a kimchi, tacos, and good things of that nature. So I try to go to local owned spots as much as I can because it's people I know. It's my old hairdresser. She now owns a restaurant. So I go to her restaurant and chop it up with her. She used to do my hair and now she makes me some delicious potatoes. So
but not at the same time.
Hang with the locals. Not at the same time. No.
Okay,
she quit one
God.
And completely switched to a new career and did it pretty damn well.
I like how you said special occasions because that's true for us too. I mean, look, if you've lived here long enough, you realize that getting to some strip properties is...
And getting home.
And especially if it's like a busy weekend when the crazies are out, it's not worth it, right? And even if you're going to take a rideshare or a cab or something like that, it just isn't worth it. So yeah, on special...
It's not worth it because it takes too long, or it's not worth it because it's just like, oh, the crowds, like what a hassle. All these annoying people.
Time, surge.
Yes.
People in the way, possibility of drunk people like bumping into you. And people come here and they think, oh, it's not a town. It's not even in the universe. So once you've decided this isn't a place where people live and work, you act a fool. So no, I'm not trying to be amongst the uninhibited.
And you also have to switch your mindset too. And then a lot of the properties, you have to go through the din of the casino to get to the restaurant. Some have very smart access that avoids all that. And I like those restaurants better. If you're ever in town and you want a real high-end experience and go to our version of Bouchon, you don't even have to touch the casino at the Venetian. They have a dedicated elevator that goes right up to the restaurant. But we know all those little secrets, and that's really cool. And if we do have a special occasion or we have some folks in from out of town or we want to check out something. I mean, there are Michelin star restaurants. There are restaurants of all sorts of note throughout the casinos, but also throughout the valley, more and more of this culinary scene. And I'll say it's twofold. One is there's a lot of folks who cut their teeth at these really super fancy celebrity chef or highly renowned restaurants who then decide that they love the community, they stay in the community, and then they want to venture out into the neighborhoods and open up their own spot. And that happens time and time again. And those are some of our favorite ones when we track down. Black Sheep. Esther's is that as well.
All right, going back to how people work, what are the weird jobs that people have in Las Vegas that people outside of Vegas don't even know about? Like they don't even know that is a job.
I think those VIP jobs where you're handling people, like I had a job where I was literally managing literary artists, but it was like, I need to make sure this person's writer is met. So I'm sure, whoever's doing those small, but like very intimate tasks. And apparently we have a falconer who works on the strip and his job is to kill pigeons.
That seems good. That's a good job.
Yeah, I mean, all the folks who deal with the very specialized stuff. But going back to the gambling, casino host is a really interesting job. And there's a lot of people. It's sort of a hybrid between marketing and development. And their job is to find individuals who are
high rollers,
maybe high rollers or maybe medium rollers who they could develop into bigger rollers or encourage them to gamble to the full limit and maybe beyond their capability. Oh
my God.
I mean, that's
gambling
their job.
Groomers.
Yeah, no, they're gambling groomers, but they're also concierge and, they become friends and it's a very odd job. There's some really interesting memoirs out there of folks who have worked as casino hosts and the kind of things that they've seen and done in service of their job. I think that's probably a good answer to you.
Yeah. And I think my last one I'd note is like being a valet.
Oh, yeah.
It's like competitive sport, but also that you can make a good chunk of change. Like there are people who encourage their kids that are like, look, finish high school and I'm not worried about you going to college because you'll make more and it'll be cash in hand. And you know that feeling, cash feels.
Because it's always been, and I don't know if it's still true, but certainly in the day that you could make maybe 6 figures just parking cars.
That's fantastic. That's a great example. So if I went out for a run or a bike ride in the summer, would I die?
Why would you do that? Why in the world
would I die? Well, I'd love to go out on a bike ride, but would I die if I did it?
As a pasty white guy such as myself, yes. The short answer is yes.
It would be dumb. And
you're vulnerable.
We wouldn't let you do that.
We would give you so many tips.
Or like early in the morning. And by early, I mean like 4 a.m.
And you'd have to have like the super Camelback. You'd have to have all the water in the world with you. You'd have to take salt tablets and have electrolytes and the biggest, floppiest hat that you would ever put on your dome. I mean, like, why would you do that? Why would you do that, Dayvid?
We would just pop your tires. You're not going.
Now,
next question.
The rest of the windows,
the rest of the year.
The windows of time in Las Vegas when the season is not searing heat, because you know, what are the seasons in Las Vegas? There's really effing hot, there's not as hot, and then there's wind. So, but there's a lot of walking trails and there's a lot of interesting places to walk. It's also not a pedestrian friendly city. I'm just going to say that.
Did you guys ever go outside during the day in the summer?
I try not to.
No, it's pretty darn hot. But you know, we are the city of AC. So, and I've found this when I go to other cities, it's like not everyone has it. It's more optional in other places, like
which is ridiculous. Seattle, they don't even build houses with AC. AC is a luxury.
Or cars.
Oh, mm-hmm.
And while not everyone can afford to maintain their car with air conditioning, it is more the rule than the exception to not have air conditioning if you do have a vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, some quicker things. Is there anything old anywhere?
Las Vegas became a city incorporated in, I think, 1911. So we're 111 years old. So what would you consider to be old? How old does that
we have a big retirement community. So yes, we're a retirement mecca because we don't have seasons. So yes.
But I would also assume that a lot of the things, because I always see, that sign, that Stardust sign, they took it down. That did. Anything that was old has also been taken over. Someone's built something newer and more wonderful in its place. So
a lot of the time.
Is there anything where you're like, I'm a historic preservationist. I love to see old Vegas, and it's look at that wonderful old building, library, sculpture. No, Vogue is like absolutely not.
They've been renovated because we have the historic Fifth Street School, and now that's where our book festival is held, which is lovely. And I love the historic Fifth Street School, but it's been renovated. So I don't know how much of the older, some of the external is still probably as it was, but outside of that, David's been here longer.
So there is historic preservation. It is a more modern development. It wasn't something that was really an emphasis about 20 years ago. So there was a lot of stuff lost. There's also a lot of stuff captured. And we have the Neon Museum is a nonprofit museum that was designed exactly for that purpose. That's a cool thing. But there's also, this effort to kind of embrace what is still here. I live in, again, an older neighborhood. We have houses that date back to the 1920s and 30s in my neighborhood. There are places here on the historic register that you could check out. So like Las Vegas Academy is in a historic building.
That's true.
The Huntridge is a historic theater that is possibly going under a renovation right now. We've talked about that on CityCast. So, there are pockets of it. But as far as, looking at the old Las Vegas from the 1960s and those fabulous, movies or shots and stuff like that doesn't really exist to the same extent that it does. But there's a lot of people who have documented it, and it's kind of cool to see the changes and why.
Okay, now I have a series of questions which I think of as being pretty, real short questions, except for maybe this first one.
So we're going to do something right now, but then we're not going to do it.
Okay, let's see. Here we go. Okay. Seems like all the fun in Vegas is 18 plus fun. And I have kids. What do kids do for fun?
Discovery Children's Museum.
Of course.
Which is an interactive museum. It's also sponsored by multiple companies, so there's some interesting.
Well, that's for like 8 to 10-year-olds. I mean, if you're
How old are
12,
your kids?
if you're 15, if you're 17, what do you do? Because you can't go to the casinos. So what do you do?
Oh, God. I mean, if you want to take them to Meow Wolf, it depends on their sensory overload capabilities. And then people tend to take, what is the casino called? Maybe Circus?
Oh, Circus, of course.
Oh, Circus. Yeah. Wait, there's a space for kids.
Yeah. So Circus is where, that's where I've heard.
Well, there's a whole mezzanine.
We don't take my nieces there, but yeah.
Yeah. And there's the Adventure Dome there. I mean, there's plenty of places that are directed for that.
The mall by UNLV has a Sequest. It has a John's Incredible Pizza. It has this thing of dinosaurs and other random stuff. So we turned an old mall into essentially a space for you to take your kids. Ha.
But I'm going to get a letter from the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority if this makes it into the podcast. Don't take your kids here, David. Like, there's plenty that if you have to have your kids here, there's plenty of outdoor activities. There's water parks. There's all the stuff that the kids who live in Las Vegas do outside of the touristy stuff.
Right.
Vogue mentioned all the good ones just now. But, it's not meant for
maybe
kids.
Not the Strip.
As a kid who grew up here, I could definitively say it's a yucky place for kids. But
speaking the truth.
But if you do bring your kids, there's plenty they could do. Look, if your kids like good food, there's lots of good food. If your kids like spectacle, there's plenty of spectacle. If your kids like people watching, there's lots of people watching. And there are natural wonders abounding in our little slice of desert that is really something you'd want to share with your kids. So if you came seasonally appropriate and you check out Valley of Fire, it'll blow their minds. They're going to see something coming from an urban center to come into the middle of the desert with the incredible natural wonders that exist out there, or even at Mount Charleston or Red Rocks. I mean, there's so much around, I mean, Vegas is blessed with not only having an interesting inside, but with the proximity to a lot of cool outside stuff.
Okay. Next thing. So I think because I'm old and conservative and have never didn't have wild youth and wild times in Vegas. I don't really know what a club is, but it seems like a club is cool. What is a club? What happens? And do you guys ever go?
All right, I'm going to drop the bass in 3, 2.
No.
Not really. I don't go. I think as old as you can be in Las Vegas and still hang on to a thread of relevancy, and yet that thread does not pull on the club scene, day club or nightclub. But I do know some things.
Day club, what's a day club? Vogue, have you been to a day club? What is a day club?
You can go to the pool, order drinks, and be in the pool and be drinking in the pool. And last time somebody posted a picture of security in the pool as well. So you have poolside cabanas where people can hang out and chill. They're playing loud music. Sometimes they actually do movies and you're in the pool watching the movie. So that is kind of, we have pools that are clubs. It's a thing. I have never gone, but I'm kind of curious because if you get the right DJ, it could be cool. You just chill, sip your beverage. It depends on how interactive you want to be. So they exist.
Okay. All right. Last three questions.
Fast answers.
Is everyone a night owl? And can you make a living if you want to work during the daytime like I do?
Yes, absolutely. Because someone has to work at the DMV. So that's where we'll put you. Or if you want to run radio shows, there are definitely graveyard things, and we stay open super duper late. We're dang near a 24-hour town. The pandemic has kind of messed up some of that. So there are some of my favorite places that close a little bit earlier. But yeah, our Bevmo delivers alcohol to if you want it delivered. So round the clock, if you are a working person, then you can work at any time.
It's a city of convenience still to this day. And so you can find, look, this is what I always say about Las Vegas, David. It's a choose your own adventure. You could find what you want to find in Las Vegas, probably more accessibly than any other place in the world.
Anywhere
Yep.
else.
Do you know any showgirls? What are they like?
I know retired showgirls who now do development for nonprofits.
I think we know those same people.
Yeah, I love her.
Are they great looking?
Of course. And they know.
And they have amazingly fit bodies.
She's stunning and kind of effortlessly, it looks effortless actually. And she's got some poise and some grace because it's still being a showgirl is the profession is dancer. And so she's got some grace too. So yeah.
Then there's also sort of the ornamental showgirl, and you see these a lot more where people are dressed and festooned in the outfits, but are more like models than the dancer version of showgirl.
Right.
That said,
the servers at the pools even.
Yeah, servers at the pools are considered on some level to be showgirl as well. That said, my direct across the street neighbor is a showgirl who performed in shows, and in her retirement, she has created a new endeavor for all of her former showgirl friends and performer friends to do pop-up performances at different events. She's brilliant.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she's brilliant.
That's amazing.
And you could book her. So when you come, Dayvid, we're going to have my neighbor book you an entire showgirl experience for you and your family.
Sprinkle money into our economy, tourist.
Yes. Okay, last question. What happened to Siegfried and Roy's animals?
Oh, what happened to all the animals? You know, Dayvid, Las Vegas has a very rough history with a lot of the animal performer acts, some which were notorious, some which were very loving and careful, but you know, it's rough. I mean, it is a desert environment. I don't know specifically what happened. I know that Montecore is not with us anymore, but neither are Siegfried nor Roy.
Wait, who is Montecore?
Montecore is the tiger who bit Roy.
The animal who mauled him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
Oh, wow. And we do have a lion. I was just about to say that. I was like, we have a lion habitat. There you go. Take your kids
and the dolphins
to the Lion Habitat Ranch.
Vogue, Dayvid's was extremely educational for me. I learned a lot of things. I think what will I take away? I'm going to take away that I'm definitely booking the retired showgirls for a pop-up show. That is very exciting. I'm not going to go for a bike ride. I am going to encourage one of my children to become a valet, although none of them's a great driver. None of them is a really good driver. So that might be a problem. And yeah, that's the plan.
Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for making time for us today and asking those questions. We appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
Before you go, a few things you should know. What's going on, Dayvid?
Well, Vogue, wherever you are in the Valley tomorrow, you could get in on some of that 4th of July action. Summerlin will have its 29th annual Patriotic Parade in the morning and fireworks from Red Rock Resort that night. Downtown's going to close off a section of Main Street so people can watch the fireworks extravaganza the Plaza always puts on. There will also be big celebrations at Floyd Lamb Park, in Henderson, and in Boulder City. But as any longtime Las Vegan will tell you, the best place to watch fireworks along the Strip is on the top open-air level of any casino parking garage if you can get up there. Longtime favorites include the Gold Coast and the Mirage. And for those of you celebrating at home, remember, only safe and sane fireworks are allowed, and the cutoff time is midnight tomorrow. If you need to report the use of illegal fireworks, which have probably been going on for over a week in your neighborhood and may last until August if unchecked, go to ispyfireworks.com to make sure your skittish dogs will get the justice they deserve.
That's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. What's the dumbest question you've ever heard about Las Vegas? Let us know on social media. We're at CityCast Vegas on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Or leave us a voicemail. Our number is 702-514-0719. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Take care.